meeting, so what we decided is that if you have something that you'd like to understand, no question, that's our ability, we want to answer things factually, but we will not in any way, shape, or form disparage anybody. We will simply state the facts as we understand them, if anybody would have any questions. We didn't want to just close the door and say, hey, we don't have a quorum, go home. But that would have been rude and inconsiderate for you who took the time to come and show up. So I hope you understand the framework under which this is. It's kind of like a town hall. It doesn't have any official capacity. We are not operating in any official capacity. We have absolutely no ability to change or do anything from a board perspective. So understand this is just an opportunity for you to ask questions if you have them, and for us to honestly respond to those as best we can. We are not under any restrictions relative to the Open Meetings Act. There are no board restrictions relative to 3 minutes. We ask you to keep it brief, but I mean, most people who have had something to say, I can tell you in the first meeting, 39 people stood up and talked. I keep notes. 33 people stood up in the second meeting, 9 people showed up on Friday and said stuff. So I just want you to know I pay attention to what you're saying, as do my colleagues at this table. But I think we really feel strongly that you have a right to meet and to ask. And when you're done, we can go home. We thought it would be patently unfair and rude to just close the door and say, sorry. You all have invested a lot in what's going on, emotionally, physically, spiritually. I don't want to get too far down this road, but I will tell you that I believe we are in a spiritual battle and we are fighting evil. And I'm just here to say to you, we've got to shine the light today on the evil that's being done. So would somebody like to go first? Brandon.
Good evening. I don't think this has really been made clear yet. I just want to reassure our families of one thing. No matter what's going on around us, our staff will keep showing up for your kids.
Amen.
Every morning, our teachers support staff and administrators walk through these doors with the same purpose: to give students a safe place to learn, grow, and to feel supported, to celebrate their achievements no matter how small. That commitment doesn't change based on headlines, rumors, or decisions made outside of the classroom. Our focus is still your kids, and that focus is steady. We will keep teaching, we will keep caring, and we will keep doing the work that matters. Thank you for trusting us, and please know that your child's well-being will always be our priority. Thank you.
Unlike public comments, we do have at this point in time the ability to respond. I would like to say to you publicly, I love Mark and I love our teachers. And I will tell you, I don't understand how anybody can believe that they can change the system without support of the teaching staff, because it's on their backs and any change will need to be implemented. I also understand systemically what it means to change the system. I was part of the superintendent search when Mark got called, and many of you remember it was very focused on blueprint. Now, what that's morphed into today is that's not the relevant question. The point is, we have a delivery system in place that works, and people that don't understand it are trying to change it. That's my opinion. So, thank you, teachers, staff. We know that you're dedicated to our kids. All we were looking for when we came to the contract, I'll be very serious. I'd like to pay everybody as much as we can, but it needs to be sustainable and it needs to be scalable. And that's what we've done. We have worked together to create an environment for the win-win and to that end. So I thank you for your
I don't tend to speak for everybody, but I'm gonna speak from my heart to you three. Thank you. You are taking we know that the, things that hit the media are out there that talks about the school board as a whole, which you are, the school board as a whole. Problem is, you're not. We know that. We truly, from my heart to yours, because I sit in your position as well, thank you for holding the course to keep this district on the right path, and we're behind you.
Bob said something, I guess I would like to encourage you, for those of you who have conversations in public, please let them know, this is not a 7-0 board, it's a 3-4 board. They use the term the board, and that really distorts the picture because it is not the board. It is a quorum of the board that is moving in this direction. So I appreciate your comments, they're spot on. Thanks, Bob. Anybody else?
I have something to read, but Bob, I just wanted to comment on what you just said. I appreciate that you guys are working together, and what I've seen is one person has gathered a few people on the board to work together as a board of 4, not as a board of the whole. And that's been very unfortunate to see, because it is supposed to be a board of the whole, and that's part of what's been the problem since January is one person has taken it on as a dictatorship to turn the whole thing into her board and her show and her school. And it's been pretty sickening to see. And it's not the way any government body or any family should operate. And she certainly has left the family and gone rogue, for sure. On Friday, Mark was prepared for a meeting to decide what the school board would collectively agree to do with the safety and security grant funding in the new budget. I think we are all shocked that the meeting was changed to be about placing Mark on the leave pending an investigation. Should we actually be shocked? I'm certainly not. This is how these board meetings have been acting since the board president took the position in January. In fact, we now know from social media posts that she planned this months in advance, placing her friends on the school board. Let me be clear, as of right now, Mark and I have not heard what these secret allegations are against him. The school's attorney dodged the questions from Mark's attorney and was unable to produce any document to him at all. Not even the document that the board vice president read to the crowd. We have received no resolution and no copies from Friday night. This seems really suspicious. I'm willing to bet that given the board president's commitment to getting rid of Mark, that with the help of the lawyer and her 3 friends, they are using character assassination to remove him. These board members have weaponized the school district's funds and the school district's attorney against Mark. These are valuable resources for many years have been poured back into the schools, the children, and the community. This is a personal vendetta against Mark. This evidence is all coming out, and the attorney can't even give Mark what he already produced, meaning the school's attorney. How can that be? I believe it is because they are making it up as they go. The attorney is following Amy Morales' lead, and he looks bad as she does now. And I wonder how proud his bosses are of him. He fumbled all over his words today. He said, the school's attorney said, I'll get it to you in a couple days. I'm still trying to figure out how to produce it. It's crazy the way the situation is just so unprofessionally happening. To the board members that did decide to show up tonight, Mark and I are fighting these baseless allegations. It is an absolute travesty that our tax dollars, yes, our tax dollars, are being used to carry out a personal vendetta for a school board. Yes, it's not just Amy's vendetta anymore. We can all see that the 4 share the same commitment. as long as she decides to try to run for it. I mean, why would he? He is making a fortune from this situation. It's insanity. I expect that Mrs. Morales will continue to use valuable funds to manufacture as many fake charges as the lawyer is willing to write up for her. I expect her to keep going until she finds one that gives a reason to terminate his contract. That set of board members has now shown that they were never on the board for the kids. They're just here for the sole purpose to get rid of Mark. And that is, it's just more comes out every day to prove the situation. And I pray that this evil does not prevail, because the kids and the teachers and the community of this district do not deserve this to be happening. You have been on a forward, upward movement for so long. You have changed so many things for the good as a family, as all of these hardworking people together, collectively together. So please, I pray that evil does not tear it down. And thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting Mark, and thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Tammy, would you mind sharing who you are to people who may not know who you are?
Hi, I am Jenny. I am Mark's wife. Because we think that was part of Friday's resolution, is that he's not allowed on school property. So it was very hard to hear Brentoya Breamsy read the resolution. And according to his attorney, he's supposed to have the resolution in his hand. That's part of a meetings violation situation, but we've asked for copies. We asked for copies from Amy Morales, and she has not produced them. And our attorney has asked for a copy, no one's produced them. So that's kind of where we are right now.
So,
I'm gonna let you know, and just like I was saying at the Friday meeting, you can say anything, anybody can say anything, okay? But just because they say it doesn't make it true. That's why I said, we wanna see the proof. You have to have
any
proof, any evidence. The proof, and that's why it's taking so long, and they can't get back with you. Us three, we have no idea. We still don't know.
Well, they put something out with a secret allegation. It just doesn't even seem plausible.
Right, and so that's what they're doing, they have to come up with the proof. It's gotta be right on paper, or video, something that, okay, we look at it, okay, it must be true.
I don't think they're like that.
They don't, no, they're not, and that's why it's still up in the air, because they don't know, they can't find it, and they're trying to find it, and whoever this person is that made this complaint, they don't even have proof. They're just going along with it, because if they did, us three, being board members, we should have been notified, we should have been told.
It would seem as a board of a whole, that a board of a whole would operate as a board of a whole. That's why I mentioned it's more of a dictatorship at this point than an actual school board of 7 people. And everything has been secret and underhanded, and it just seems so dirty and shady. And it seems like a pretty appealing $7.1 million to be in your hands on.
I just want, you just tell Mark to hang in
procedurally, from a personnel perspective, this is not the way normally businesses or anybody else operates. The attorney used the term due process rights. Well, I'm sorry, the due process rights were violated right off the rip, in my opinion. Because we now have evidence that the superintendent doesn't even know what the charges are against him. And now it's 2 business days later, right? And the attorney doesn't even have, according to what we've been told, the ability to frame them properly to be able to ship. That really brings in a serious question of the validity of those charges, in my opinion, from a professional standpoint. And it's an opinion, it's not a matter of fact, but please be aware these are the kinds of things that we're all struggling with as the 3 of us sit here. I gotta tell you, in my 43 years in IT, I've never dealt with anything like this in my career. And I've never dealt with a personnel matter quite so convoluted as this one is forming up to be. That ought to give us all some sort of an indication as to what, Jenny is alluding to with that is that this needs to see the light of day. And it needs to get resolved quickly, because quite frankly, I'm afraid that the damage both to the district and to the career of Mark are going to be irreparable if we can get this thing solved quickly.
I mean, I just don't understand why somebody would want to take somebody's career away from them that loves their job. I mean, I know that was happening to me, if somebody at my work was attacking me just to get me to lose my job that supports my family, keeps a roof over my head, food in my stomach, my grandbaby's stomach, my kids. I mean, I'm gonna tell you now, I don't cook. My husband is out cooking. That was the deal when we got married. He didn't cook it, and I'll do the cleanup. And anyways, damn it, where's that going? I'm sorry.
I tell Amy I love her because she is just so open with her, vocabulary and stuff.
Thanks, Bob. But, we work hard to get things that we get today. We work hard for our families, for our kids, our grandbabies, and so does Mark. And for somebody who wanted to tear him away from kids, from his students, he doesn't think of these kids as his students. He thinks of these kids as his children. Now, how many superintendents do that? They don't. You go to any other schools around here, and you ask these kids, do you know who your superintendent is? They look at you like you're crazy, because they don't. Now, that does not tell anybody anything. And shame on you, shame on them for not seeing the truth and wanting to take somebody's life away from them of their career that they love.
Anybody else?
I got some questions that might not be able to be answered by you guys, but
Okay.
we're gonna shoot at this and see what,
What sticks?
maybe, hopefully not, I do guys. So some questions that I have from some documents I've read from FOIAs are,
Can you see the mic so that everybody else can hear?
yeah, sorry, I have some questions about some FOIAs that I've read over the course of the time. And I don't know if you guys know the answers, but they keep implying that things have changed since June when he had his evaluation to now. In regards to the giving him an 89 out of 100, and all of a sudden the 4, or 3 of the 4, are implying that things have changed and that vote doesn't surface to be what the score was. Do you guys know what they're implying that is?
I have no idea.
Okay. And just to know where this came from the petition, right out of exactly word for word from what they said. So, at the clerk's office for the recall. So, they just kept saying that things changed and that was not black and white, basically, is my interpretation of it, and then that was a yes or no question on voting, and that score doesn't necessarily represent what they believe now. That's my interpretation of what I read.
I don't believe that they believe that, like a year ago in November. They
history of Bridgeport superintendent, I guess this is one for Bob. That you know of.
I went back to Gene Carroll, I always take responsibility.
Has there ever been a superintendent that has scored that high on an evaluation and not been renewed?
Not to my knowledge, no.
But to be fair, there have been different tools used for the.
Correct.
Okay.
That's fair assessment, there have been different tools. The particular assessment tool that we're using now weighs very heavily on student scores and achievement, and that has been somewhat relaxed in recent years. To go along with what Aaron said, I will say to you that there was a pretty obvious, this was obvious to me, so you can understand this is my perspective sitting at the table doing the evaluation of Mark in the library, and it was in an open session. And I was openly challenging some of the other board members' evaluation of him. And I believe it was specifically in the area of communications. And there seemed to be kind of a relaxing of the pressure to move those scores down because we were in open session, and that I was visibly making a strong argument against moving those scores down. And so I don't have any basis to say this, but I will say to you that may have been the purposes of having them desire to go a different direction because they couldn't lower the score on performance review.
And some people know, and some people don't. I've reviewed about 15 contracts with superintendents across Michigan. It has been, I've reviewed specifically Saginaw's, most of Saginaw's. The only district isn't even in Saginaw that I would compare to our district right now in economic disadvantage. And I've been trying to correlate whether superintendents pay, because we don't know much. Mark's contract was reviewed because I could find that, because all of this is public, you guys. If you look hard enough, you can find it. So I've reviewed a few of those, and I was just gonna put it out there for everybody to hear. The only one applied was that city school district that compares to our economic disadvantages. Because we sit at 94%. I mean, that's a high disadvantage. We have 6% of our community that is above, basically, poverty, I think it's around 75,000 in a home. So our kids are coming to school, not mine specifically, but kids are coming to school worried about clothes on their back, shoes on their feet, is the water on, do they have food? Our test scores are gonna reflect because they're coming to school and wondering what's going on. Yes, and that's sad, because the government, most of our school district relies on staff. And if they don't have food coming in November, do you think they care what they're getting taught that day? I mean, you're worried about your next meal in your mouth. If your parents are going to work, they don't have time to help you at home. I mean, I struggle for quite a while as a single mom of 3 because I was single and the nurse. I still didn't have time, and I still fed my kids, but how much time can you split between 20 different hats? So I know, and so how do we, my question always is, and it's not to you guys per se, is how do we put that level of responsibility on one man?
Right.
Okay, Mark's responsibility is delegated through his administrators and staff and things of that nature. But you touched on something about salary, and I guess I would like for everybody in this room to understand something. What Mark asked the board to approve was exactly what we awarded our administrators from a contract standpoint, no more. I mean, he was only asked what we awarded our administrators was 6, 2, and 2. That's exactly what he was asking for. So he wasn't asking for anything more than what we already awarded administrative staff for this district. So it was not a financial constraint. I'm just making everybody aware that was what was sat on the table and proposed.
At any point, did anybody ever divulge what the stipulation was that they wanted to put in this
I
compensation
have no
package?
clue what the stipulation is.
Because they implied during that meeting that it was supposed to be a closed session and it should be a private conversation. Did that private conversation ever happen amongst the board and Mr. Whelton? And according to me, in my review of the MASB and the district bylaws, does that not break working as a whole?
Actually, it's a violation of the Open Meetings Act if they haven't done that. And there's also one other thing, serial meetings like them meeting one-on-one and one-on-two, that's also a violation of the Open Meetings Act.
Because my understanding is if the president can receive the information, but once the president releases it to anybody, they have to release it to all the board members, correct?
That is supposed to be the way it works. And I would like to address one question. You didn't ask it, but you implied it.
Okay.
People have said that when I was the board president, I didn't share stuff with the board. And I will say to you, you're absolutely right, because I let the superintendent disseminate that information to every board member, and I did not act as a filter. I did not act as a lens. I did not do anything. My communications with board members was so rare because the superintendent, that's his job, to communicate with all board members equally. And there should not be any one focal point that functions as a filter, as a judge, or in any other way, shape, or form, twist whatever it is that's getting fed to the rest of the board. That's my opinion, and that's how I acted.
My understanding of the rules or guidances and bylaws and the MASC is, and correct me if I'm wrong, so that we all understand this out there, because we're all trying to grasp what's going on out here, is if the president receives information, she has to share it to all 7, and if you guys receive information, you need to share it to the president. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is that what we're all understanding out there is not happening across the board?
How would I know?
Good answer. I guess I'm asking some of the hard questions because I've done a lot of research into this. But I wanted to go back to the salary. Reviewing those.
Hold on, your salary question, but let's go back to MASB for a minute. Between MASB and Brad Banasek have been used like pixie dust during the meetings of this board, right?
Correct.
MASB does not run this board. MASB simply provides education, counseling, and, guidance, if you will, guardrails for board members. I personally had a conversation with Brad Banasek about some of these issues. I would just say that I would characterize some of the things that are being said at this table as being misrepresentation and mischaracterization of what MASB says and does.
Correct. One of their lines specifically says transparency across the board to the community.
I just like transparency at the board.
Agreed. The contract one, I wanted to go back to that because I reviewed 15 of them, and some of them in Detroit, some of them here in our district, some down in Flint. The one I found that correlates to our district is again at a 90, I believe they're around a 94 or 96, so I don't have my numbers or my chair over there. I came prepared. We all remember that word, right? Because that's another word I read in that position, like that recall thing is they weren't prepared in June, and now they have all the information. Then we heard it again at the board meeting, 2 board meetings ago, that they weren't prepared to have that conversation for the stipulation wording in that meeting either. So I came prepared today, as you noticed. I've been doing some research on my free time, which isn't much with 5 kids. So my question with the contract is, I didn't notice any correlation between the economic disadvantages and the pay. What I did note was anybody who had in a 90% disadvantage had notoriously low test scores. That's the only thing I can correlate across the board between my 2 websites. Is it never had anything to do with pay. Because my understanding from looking at the pay that he's asking for is the same as Flint, and we have the same test scores. So if anybody wants to look that up, they can. It's Flint City School District, and I think Burton, the surrounding school districts, are similarly comparable. Not necessarily in size, but in those 2 regions. People have on Facebook and publicly said that this is a race thing. I'm not looking at that. I don't care. Point being is, if you have kids worried about what's on their back, they're not coming to school to learn. They're coming to school to eat. They're coming to school to have friends. They're coming to school to get a relief from the hardships in the community. So if we can't meet them there, where are we meeting them at? So that's all I gotta say. I know I'm preaching to the people that believe it already, but there's people that need to hear what they can look up and what they can find and give us a voice. So.
And you're right, I did see that where they said that they thought it had something to do with race. I don't believe that. I don't think race has anything to do with it. If it does, then shame on them, okay? I still, to this day, and like I've always said, this is a personal vendetta. Instead of being a grown-up, put on your big girl's pants or your big boy's pants, whatever it may be, go and talk to Mark with whatever issues you have.
I'd like the last comment is, do we know at any point, has there been a counter for an actual negotiation in this contract? Where there's been a financial counter, because it's been implied a few times at the table by the other members, we're not here, that it's about, I've heard words, and just picking out, you guys deliberate in front of us and you're not allowed to be involved, is retirement, like longevity, and then we heard compensation package, because again, in all those contracts, when it comes to that, Bob said, it shouldn't be in the contract, it should be in goals. And then, what I see in the contracts, out of 3 of 15, I've only found merit pay stipends in 3 of 15. And that's only the 15 are Butte, Michigan. So, obviously, it's not superly common to have a merit pay stipend, but have we countered or anything to help move this contract along, even though I know we already know that it was dead in the water a year ago, before it was even presented?
It's all I can do now, being extremely sarcastic right about now. I will say to you, and I'm probably gonna get escorted someplace along the line, and that's fine, I got big shoulders, but
Me too.
I'm suspecting that Mark could offer to pay us to come work for us, and we would still say no.
I have that interpretation also.
Okay, but I would like to go back to something you mentioned. Test scores. The standardized test looks at every student the same. Our teachers do not. Okay? And our teachers look at growth based on where students come in and where they go. The standardized test looks at every kid being exactly the same coming into that test, and that's an unfair representation. You yourself have said that 95% of our children are at poverty level or below. Our teachers deal with them right where they're at. Whatever it is that comes in the classroom, our teachers deal with it. And yet our growth scores are still above or on parity with other members of this community from the school districts within Saginaw County. So I think, that whole premise that student achievement is not on par. Okay, maybe standardized test perspective, but why don't we take a look at the continuum of what it is we're dealing with from an economic standpoint, and let's deal with some reality here, folks, right? My granddaughter came, I gotta be really careful with this, I'm passionate about this, and I hope that becomes obvious. My granddaughter came to this school district from kindergarten to 12th grade. She was the 2020 valedictorian of the school. She went to Michigan State in the School of Engineering and graduated with a 3.9 plus grade point average from the School of Engineering. I tell you that not to brag about my granddaughter, but to say to you, the content is delivered. It is here. Kids who need it can get it. It is here. Right? We address children where they are at. Now, I will tell you, my granddaughter came to school because when she came to kindergarten, she was already reading. And that was because she sat in grandpa's lap and I read books to her, so she was, old enough to even be able to have her eyeballs. That was me, and that was her. But they accommodated her. They dealt with her right where she was at, and they deal with every child right where they're at. And I think if there's anything that we can walk away from today, we should be really proud of the fact that our district has a system in place that addresses every child right where they're at and addresses their needs as best we can with the resources we have available. Okay?
And then, I was gonna just give a personal example. My one son, everybody's heard, they watched the report yesterday, that one of my sons is not in the district. He's 18. He was pulled out after 9th grade year. Because I knew that he needs something different. I haven't had him tested, but I can tell you, my child is probably, if I had him, not a doctor label him, he's on the spectrum somewhere. We could not find any medication that worked. He made noises in classes, he distracted other students, he was out in the hall more than he wasn't in the hall. I took him home, we homeschooled, he's graduating this year. But it's because mom works next door to him and I hear the chair rolling, and if the chair's not rolling, I'm calling him on his cell phone or yelling through the wall saying, get up and get in class now. But you guys don't have that. guys can't do that. And I get that. But then I want to call it, one of the teachers in 8th grade, Miss Hines. She knows what I'm talking about. She knows my job. Failing 8th grade year, English. I got this raving email from her. Oh, out of the blue. Didn't even realize what was going on. She started using his examples when he answered stuff in class, which I did not know he was doing. I didn't know he was paying attention. And she started using his examples. Not telling the kids to use his examples, but he knew what his examples were. So that made him a little more interested in what she was doing. Remember, failing. Walked out to my pickup line. We live too close for busing. So, 3 minutes a day, I heard. 3 to 5 minutes a day. She listened to him talk about whatever he wanted to ramble about. I'm sure she heard the craziest things because he's very into computers. Very into gaming. But she listened. You know, and within a week he had me in that class and he kept it the rest of that year. All he wanted to do was be seen and heard. And that's all I have at home, and I got him passed and graduated this year. It's not because Bridgeport failed, because my kid did something different. A little bit more one-on-one, and somebody who's gonna not be afraid to track it down, because you guys have limits. No, so I just wanted to call that one out, because that's my personal experience of it, and I agree. It all, meet them where they're at. She met them where they're at, you know what I mean? Never been able to get it hardly again, when he's graduating.
Anybody else? Let me remind everybody, this is not an official meeting. We're just here to listen and have a public conversation, all right?
Not a problem.
Cool.
My name's Bob Cassidy. I teach students how to think critically and be responsible. It's interesting that the conversation in the community has to do with the barriers, because this community is about the possibilities. One of the reasons I like teaching here, okay, that's a top-down thing. You guys know that. But talking about that and standardized testing, some of us put the data together. We have this thing called the NWEA. So I put something together, and a couple of my friends will be following me, have some more information that'll piggyback on it. Hopefully it'll enlighten everybody what we're talking about, not looking at one data point on one single day. And looking at kids as they grow over time, because we all grow. State test scores are one measure of student learning, but they don't tell the whole story. However, our district serves a high proportion of students from low-income households. You've heard the number. Somebody did a research. Many of whom face challenges outside of school that affect learning outcomes. Some of our families are working hard to make ends meet, which can make it harder for students to have all the materials or support they need outside of school. Many of our parents are juggling multiple jobs or responsibilities, which means they may have less time to do homework for their kids or attend school events, but they still deeply care about their children's success. Not all students have the same opportunities for after-school programs, tutoring, or summer learning experiences, which can affect how quickly they progress academically. Our teachers and counselors often work hard to support students through stressful situations daily. Heard a couple in the hallway today. Okay, made learning rather interesting. Made teaching on my end rather interesting. These stresses make focusing on schoolwork near impossible some days. Today was one of them. Students are missing multiple days due to family or personal reasons, transportation issues, child care responsibilities, and housing instability. We know that. The demographics support it. It's important to understand that these student absences are rarely a matter of choice and often the result of circumstances outside of students' control. Sometimes that's when they can drive to school, maybe they'll get there. These disruptions can make it harder to stay on track academically, even when students are motivated and capable. I have 25 like that in my classroom. They are motivated, they love math. Some days they don't get them. Research shows that students facing these barriers often score lower on standardized tests, not because they lack ability or effort, but because their circumstances make it harder to access and demonstrate learning consistently. This is why teachers and administrators at Bridgeport Spalding do not judge a student purely on state standardized testing. We use multiple evidence-based tools to show student growth. Unlike a one-time standardized test, like that M-step thing we have, the district uses an assessment called the NWEA. This tool measures academic progress over time and is used by most schools nationally, 3 times a year, fall, winter, spring. It allows for all the shareholders to see growth trends over months and years. Students at Bridgeport are showing strong progress over time. Across years of data, almost every grade level has had periods where students grew more than what NWEA projected for them, their national standards. More than their national standards. This means students learn more math and reading than expected. The strongest growth happened in the most recent years. This is 100% due to the possibilities we are offering our students at Bridgeport Spalding Community Schools. You got a whole bunch of my colleagues to thank for that.
Thank you, Doug.
Hurry, okay. Thank you. Hi, I'm Rachel King, and it's my birthday, so y'all. I'd like attention in case you didn't already know. My job was to talk about curriculum. The state of Michigan defines curriculum as Michigan academic standards. It's what every child needs to be taught. It's what every teacher teaches. This is given to us from the State Department of Education. These come down to the superintendents, administrators, teachers, and they take that information and we find research-based resource materials to teach our students to get the academic growth and meet the standards where they are and what they need. The teachers go through and make curriculum maps. We plan out our year. We make sure we have common assessments when it comes to different topics for math, science, social studies, and writing, and reading for that matter. Plus we use other aspects to test them as well with GRA 2, 3, I guess it's 3 now. And we correlate all of this information to better help, teach, and provide what our students need. I'm going to say something that's not on my paper. We might be at 94 or 96%, but we have the most amazing students and families around. So we have one more little piece of information. Gina McLeod is going to talk about our NWEA test scores, and they're pretty cool because we put all this together the other day, and she's got packets for you. But keep sending your kids. We're going to be there, and thank you for sending them.
I am not going to read my full speech because I'll keep that for when we do this again, because I will present this information again because we want all board members to hear this information, but do want our community to know. So NWA data is what I just gave to you, And when we look at this NWEA data, students, you can clearly see when they enter our district, starting in kindergarten, we are below the national norm. And that just means our students already have a bigger hill to climb. But here's the key. When our students come into our schools, they start to grow. And they grow a lot over the years. So when you look at our elementary, the gap between our students and national average stops widening. Students start to stabilize instead of falling further behind. In middle school, our growth starts to speed up. And by high school, their improvement is significant. That growth accelerates to the point where by graduation, they are performing competitively with students across the country. So it might take us a little longer to get there, but our students work hard and they do get there. They do not leave behind. Their growth reflects strong instruction, targeted interventions, and effective use of resources that prove to show out. On the second set of data charts, you can see that one's showing how many students each year exceed their expected growth in reading and math. And these last two charts tell an even more encouraging story. Year after year, the percentage of students meeting their growth targets continue to increase in both subjects. This is statistically strong. This means it's not happening by chance. It's real, it's reliable, and it's measurable progress. And as we've stated before, no single test can ever tell the whole story of a child's learning. NWA and MSTEP are useful tools. They show trends, they show growth in areas of need, but it is not our only piece of the puzzle. It helps guide our work, but it is not the only measure of success. Our students continue to show their abilities in classroom work, problem solving, creativity, resilience, and countless other ways that tests cannot measure. So our simple takeaways, our kids do come in behind, but our teachers and staff work hard under Whelton's leadership to provide what students need. And our kids do grow steadily, significantly, and consistently. And our Bearcats leave ready to compete with peers across the country. So the data is there. We'll bring it back again. But thank you for your time, and I just wanted to show you, since it was brought up, our students, they are growing.
Anyone else?
Hello. I want to say thank you to the three of you from a parent perspective. I came to every meeting. I have watched you guys fight for my children and fight for the children that I come and volunteer for. I'm very active in Bridgeport schools. I've done popcorn. I've gotten Girl Scouts in Bridgeport because of Mark's ability to allow us to let kids see more than outside, like the outside world. But I want to share a story of these teachers that people are downing on Facebook or on social media. My daughter came in COVID in kindergarten, and I may have said a little bit about her. My daughter Emily came in at COVID and was scared to come to school, never without me. This teacher embraced her. She had learning disabilities from the very beginning that we didn't know about. School was cut short, all kids had to go home, right? So who was it on at first? The parents. We all had to be like, hey, we're teachers now. And we didn't know what to do. But then all of a sudden, our superintendent's like, hey, we got a program. I had an 11th grader and I had a kindergartner. It was an easy thing for me to figure out how to teach them. Why is that? Because the teachers call you every day. If you have a question, they're there. If they need anything, they're there. Whether it's education, we hear about the NWEA and the MSTEP is so important, and I get it. But my daughter, last year, for the first time, believed in herself when no one else was like, everybody else was like, Emily, you can believe in yourself. You got it. You're smart. You can do anything you want to. And she said to me, when a teacher looked at her and said, Emily, you walk into this school with your head held high, because it's not where you're walking into, it's who you're walking into it. And she says, Mom, what does that mean? And she says, Jesus, right? Jesus. And what is our school about? No barriers, just possibilities. She knew from the moment when she came into this school, because these teachers told her she was good enough, that she can do it. No other school district would want to do that with her, or any other kid. She handed Mark a cup in her first grade year, going backwards. And on that cup was a picture of her and him in a COVID mask. And she wanted to put on there, no barriers, just possibilities. Now in 6th grade, she has been on Team Achieve. She's getting awards. She's getting all these things. And in her room is a banner that says, no barriers, just possibilities. My daughter believes it because these people behind me, which I want to thank personally, believe in her enough that she's now a straight A student in middle school. It may have taken her longer, like they talked about, but stop judging our kids because you don't know where they came from, what they're going through, and where they are going to go. Stop. This is craziness. It is craziness. These kids are seeing it. Now I work in the cafeteria, and these kids sometimes come back for more food because they're hungry. They're hungry. All I want is another orange, Miss Sarah. All I want is another grape, Miss Sarah. How can we expect them to come in here and focus on these test scores if they're hungry? Mark made it possible that we have the right to give kids more food and give them more options so they know they're going to eat. I just want to thank you for believing in our children, and thank you for fighting. And I promise you, on a parent standpoint, that I will do whatever it takes to make sure that Bay Bridgeport is known to be a good school. And I will make sure that we will do what we need to with this petition to get these signatures. And you guys will have people on this board to support you. So again, thank you to the teachers, and thank you to you guys.
I'm honestly not monopolizing the time. I've been asked to read something to the board from my very good friend and fellow colleague, Mr. Nick Hill. He does not have a voice right now, but he has something he'd like to say. So I'm bringing Nick up here, because these are his words, not mine. My heart on this matter is, I understand that we all feel the injustice as we try to understand what makes sense of the way and fight for what's right. Try to remember that we must uphold the standard of integrity. We must continue to fight, speak up for what's right.